time. It's time for another 5-minute murder. We're going to do a little Memorial Day special edition here. I guess kind of every single week we talk about not necessarily memorializing, but talking about history and talking about these different people and the crimes that they committed. But today, since it is Memorial Day, and I missed Friday for whatever reason, I wanted to get one in this week, so you'll get two this week, one today and then one on Friday. But I wanted to do somebody that may have been related to the military, since we are remembering those who went before us. Now, of course, these guys here, maybe we sooner forget them, but their stories are important, which is why we talk about them. So today we're going to go and do old Dean Corrl. So the Candy Man, and he was in the military. So Dean Corrl was born on December 24th, 1939. Died August 8th, 1973. He was an American serial killer who abducted, raped, and tortured, and then murdered at least 28 teenage boys and young men between 1970 and 1973 in Houston, Texas. He was aided by two teenage accomplices, David Owen Brooks and Elmer Wayne Henley. The crimes came to light after Henley fatally shot Corrl. His victims were typically lured with an offer of a party. They would then be restrained either by force or deception, and each was killed either by strangulation or shooting with a .22 caliber pistol. Corrl and his accomplices buried 17 of their victims in a rented boat shed. So, Dean Corrl is an interesting case. You know, like I said, he was in the military. He served in the Army in 1964. He was drafted into the Army. Apparently, Corrl hated military service. He was not a fan. And he asked for a hardship, like whatever it's called, hardship discharge is what it's called. And he ended up being honorably discharged on June 11th, 1965. He was only in for 10 months, and, he was released. And eventually, he goes back to Houston, and him and his family have some money. And so they start the Corrl Candy Company, right? So when he left, I don't know what position he had with his family's company, but when he comes back, he ends up being vice president of the Corrl Candy Company. Now, his father, or his stepfather, had ownership of the candy business and was known as the Pecan Prince. So yeah, interestingly enough, he's called the Candy Man because that's exactly what he did. He had a candy shop, and so he would offer candy. What in the world is going on there? Okay, I just got a whole bunch of messages that just came in on my phone. All kinds of stuff popped up. Anyway, but Dean Corrl, it's interesting because he was caught before Gacy was caught. And so the circumstances are very, very similar. And so there has always been talk about whether Gacy was involved, whether Gacy knew Corrl, or whether Corrl knew Gacy. And so they asked Elmer Wayne, because Wayne Henley is still in prison for his part in all of these crimes. I know people that have tried to talk and see about him getting released. I know that Wayne Henley's brother just died not too long ago, and that Wayne is not in great health anymore. But Wayne was one of the teenagers that was kind of brainwashed by Corrl and forced to go and, get these kids and everything and bring them back. Him and David Owens the two of them were going out and procuring men and bringing them back for parties and stuff, and then Dean would rape and murder them, and they would all bury the bodies. There is some belief that Wayne, which is again why he has spent all of his life in prison now, they believe that he was part of some of the killings, that he took part, that some of them may have only been done by Wayne and not Dean, and so that there is some speculation that some of the killings were not just done by Dean Corrl, but also by Wayne Henley. So I don't know how true that is. You know, I know people that say that that's not true at all, that Wayne should be released from prison. Wayne did kill Dean, but it was because Wayne brought back a girl. And he brought back this girl, and Dean ends up tying all of them up. And Wayne feels like Dean is going to rape and kill him. So before Dean can do that, Wayne picks up the gun. He gets out of his binds. He picks up the gun, and when Dean comes back in the room, he shoots him and kills him. So in fear for his life, you know, it's interesting because Wayne didn't seem to be all upset when that was happening to other people, but when it came to him, he was going to live, right? So it's kind of a crazy story. But then that ties into the whole Gacy thing because it's very similar, right? This is why they believe that there might be some kind of pedophilia ring and this buying and selling of young boys. Now, there is one person that both Gacy and Dean Corrl had in common, and I wish I could remember his name, but he was a known pedophile that had a sex trafficking ring. And those are both in common with both Gacy and Corrl. Now, Wayne Henley was asked if Dean Corrl ever met with Gacy, and the answer was no. He had never heard the name Gacy. They had never had any interactions. So it seems like Gacy and Corrl did not know each other, even though there has always been speculation that Gacy took some of the methods that he used, like the torture board and stuff like that, directly from Dean Corrl because he would do that. Now, Dean Corrl was very, very publicized in the newspapers when all this stuff was going on, and it's for sure that Gacy read a lot about the crimes of Dean Corrl and that they were very, very similar to his own. So he obviously picked up some things from Dean's cases and looking into all of that, but it doesn't seem like they had any actual connection themselves. But yeah, it's a crazy, crazy case that they would find bodies very, very similar underneath a boat shed, dug out into these like trenches and stuff. You know, almost identical to what Gacy would be doing or was already doing and would be caught for, 5 years later. So, it's just, this is in Texas, down in Houston, Houston isn't as far south, but in the southernmost state of the country. And then you have, Gacy doing his business in Chicago, one of the northernmost states in the country. So like Chicago, Texas. It's just a crazy, whether you want to believe it's coincidence or if you want to believe that there's some kind of connection. I know that there has been at least one documentary that has talked about that. Now, what I will tell you is there's a new book out about Dean Corrl and Wayne Henley and all of that by Catherine Ramsland that just came out. I want to say it's called The Serial Killer's Apprentice, I believe is the name of the book. I don't have it yet. I need to get it because I'm interested in the case. I think it's a fascinating case. I know people who are close to people involved in the case. So it'll be interesting to read that and to see kind of a little bit more insight. And Catherine is incredible at pulling that out and really digging in and understanding the people and the circumstances and all of that. and really showing all of it for exactly what it is. And I love that about her writing style. It's one of the things that she did that was fantastic about the BTK book that she wrote. She really allowed Dennis to have a voice and him to say exactly what he thought. And she just put it out there. So that's always really interesting to me. So anyway, there you go. On this Memorial Day weekend, this is now Memorial Day Monday, but we want to go back and look at somebody who is directly related to that. Now, with that being said, it's Memorial Day. Honor those people who were out there serving for us. Dean Corrl was not one of those guys. He never made it to do anything, and matter of fact, he wanted to get out pretty much as soon as he got in. So Dean Corrl notwithstanding, all of those other military people out there, thank you for your service and all that you've done to give us the freedoms that we have right now, today. The fact that I can get on here and talk about this stuff, and that I am not censored, and I don't have people busting through the doors to take me out, because that shit happens in other countries, right? Doesn't happen here. People can say pretty much what they want. We still have some modicum of freedom of speech. And so, we have lots and lots of people to thank for that have literally given their lives to make sure that we have the freedoms that we have. So thank you. Happy Memorial Day, everybody out there. Have a great weekend. Grill out and shit. Spend some time with your family this rest of this holiday before we all have to go back to work tomorrow, and then we got to do all that shit. So, talk to y'all soon. Have a great holiday.
The number you have dialed is not available at present. Please leave your message after the beep.
Yeah, trendsetter, whoa, league of my